Hi, welcome to another Sporting Communities podcast. Sporting Communities are a community interest company. We are an ethical, non-for-profit organisation which services range from sports coaching, youth work, mentors and family support. We are a training academy delivering a range of qualifications, and we also have art and play services. This week, we're again going to be focusing on positive mental health, what we're doing to get through the lockdown, the changes that are potentially going to happen as of Sunday, how we feel about that, and any plans that we're making for when we come out of lockdown. So just to introduce us all again, I'm James. So I've been with Sporting Communities for just over a year, mainly go out into the community, helping coach kids, and basically just trying to put smiles on their faces, really. And today I'm again joined by Ed and Mim. So starting with you, Ed, if you want to just do a quick introduction.
Yeah, my name's Ed. I work for Sporting Communities as well. Got a real passion for kind of health and fitness and staying active. My interests are going to the gym, playing some football, playing badminton, and just seeing family and friends, really. So that's me.
Fab. And Mim?
Hi, my name's Mim. I've been with Sporting Communities for just over a year now. I work for the Supporting Communities strand of our company as a youth engagement worker. So I go out into the communities and engage with all sorts of young people.
Fantastic. So the first thing that I really wanted to talk about this week with you two is basically, as of Sunday, we're hoping we might receive a little bit more notice as to what's going on, sort of potential lockdown being lifted, dates coming out, what it's going to look like. So I just wanted to get your two's opinions, how you feel about it, what you think might come from the announcement on Sunday, and how we're going to best deal with it. So starting with you, Ed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Look forward to much nowadays. So, yeah, any kind of good news or word of it being lifted, I'm looking forward to. Just interesting to see what will come of it. Again, not having my hopes too high of anything drastic, but I think, just trying to keep an eye on the news and keeping up to date with the numbers and other countries and seeing how they're getting on. So yeah, really just looking forward to seeing how we're going to move forward, really.
Yeah, I think one of the most difficult things is the unknown. And I think while ever we're all at home and we don't know potentially when it's going to end and when we're actually going to be allowed out of our house to see our families and relatives and everything like that again, I think that's almost the hardest part. I don't think the hardest part is not being able to see them. I think it's not knowing when you'll next be able to see them. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to Sunday, just in a sense that they might get an idea of, do you know what, in 2 weeks' time I might be able to see my family. So it gives you that sort of light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I know for me, that's the thing that I'm most looking forward to. I know I've not seen any members of my family now for, 6-7 weeks. And that's been the hardest part. But to know now that we might only be a few weeks away from being able to see them, that's what gives me hope.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is the not knowing. You're going to be able to at some point. It's just having that date to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. And Mim?
Yeah, so same as both of you guys, really. You've pretty much covered everything. I'm just really looking forward to seeing my nan. So obviously I've been FaceTiming with her and it's just not the same, is it? So it'll be nice to sort of have an idea of when I can do those things.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say my nan's got a lot better now with the FaceTiming. I can see all of her face. So yeah, she's obviously been practicing. So that's really good. I have to say one of the good things too come from this. Everyone who was a technophobe before, I guarantee you're not a technophobe now, because you've had to adapt and get on the technology. And I must admit, I'm not great with stuff like that, but you have to adapt in these sorts of circumstances. So one positive to take is that I can actually now work most things in my house, which I couldn't before. So
yeah, I agree. I think all these people who used to work in offices now, they're going to at least know the basics of it. And so, yeah, again, we'll take the positives.
Yeah, definitely. So just leading on from that, I know over the last sort of week or so, since we've started to get a little bit more information about when lockdown is potentially going to be lifted, I know that I've started to think about the main things that I want to do once lockdown is lifted. So I've started to sort of write myself a little list and everything like that, which I'm happy to share in a minute with you. I just wanted to know if either of you two have been doing similar kind of things, the thing that you're most looking forward to. So what's that one thing when you're told you're allowed to go out the house again? What's that one thing you're wanting to do or person that you're going to see? Mim, if I start with you.
If I'm being completely honest, I can't wait to go for a Greggs and a Costa.
Okay.
Things.
That's a good one. That's a good one. What are you going to have from Greggs?
I'm going to have a vegan sausage roll and a vegan steak bake.
Oh, very nice.
I'm going to overindulge.
Why not? And how about you, Ed?
Similar, to be honest. I've got to say some sort of takeaway. And going back to the gym, I'm looking forward to that. I've missed that social element of going to the gym and spending some time there, playing sport, football, badminton, just kind of, seeing my nieces as well. So there's loads, to be honest, that I need to plan in. The only thing I don't like with planning is, again, that not knowing. I feel like it's a bit pointless until I know when I can plan my dates in. I'm a bit like that. Instead of just having it on paper, I need to know when. So until then, I think I'm going to leave off the kind of writing it down or anything like that. I've just got ideas in my head of things I want to do for now. So yeah, again, just wait until Sunday, really.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, hopefully we'll get a date on Sunday, or at least an idea of a date. I think would be enough, just so that, like you say, if people are writing down plans or whether plans are just in head, at least then you can start putting a time frame on them. I know with regards to me, the first thing that I want to do is head back and see my mum and dad, just check on them, see how they are. Because I live quite far away from them, it's not even like I can just pop round outside the house. I know a few people have been doing that on my street, and sort of family members have been coming down the street and making sure that they stay one side of the road while their family is at the other side, and they have a bit of a conversation. But I can't do that because I don't have the privilege of living that close to family. So I think that's probably the thing that I'm looking forward to most out of this.
Yeah, I think a tough one is when they get lifted. Again, like there's been a few comments made, like it's not kind of an invitation to then go and have parties. It's like it's getting lifted because there's room in hospitals for people who do suffer the worst, and then they have that care available for them. It's not because everything's back to normal and fine now, so we should still take measures. That's going to be the hardest part, that everyone doesn't jump the gun. I think watching on the news, there was some poll of what people are most feared about if they have to go back to work and things, and it was like obviously contracting the virus, the commuting. People are quite afraid of that 2 meter kind of gap when they're having to catch the bus or train to work. And then also, obviously, if you're going to work and living with family, it's passing it on to family members if you don't have the symptoms. So I think it's still going to be, when it's lifted, we're going to have them privileges, but it's still going to be a case of just being wary and still taking them measures.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I just said about the fact that I'm looking forward to going and seeing my mum and dad. I should point out, when I do go and see them, I'll still be staying my distance, because at the end of the day, I've not been tested, so I can't 100% say whether I've got the virus or not. I've certainly got no symptoms of it, but I would hate to think to myself that I've rushed the gun, like you say. I've gone to see them and actually I've ended up passing something on to them without meaning to. So I think it's really important, like you say, to make sure that we are still following whatever advice is given. If they do say, look, we're going to lift this measure, it doesn't mean everybody suddenly rushes out the house to go and see people and rushes to go and grab the food that they've been missing and everything like that straight away, because otherwise the worst thing that could happen is that we end up getting locked down again. I think that is what people would struggle with the most, is for it to be lifted and then for it to get reimposed on everyone. So that's the thing we need to try and avoid, really.
Especially if you're back at work as well, and like obviously sometimes you won't be able to help coming into contact with people. That's just the way it's going to be. So it's just a tricky thing, and I think again the government, they've always been they're going to kind of put the decision making on ourselves. So it's going to be, you can go back to work, but you've got to keep, it's important to keep that distance in and things like that. So like such a grey area that they're just going to leave up to us, so they're not responsible.
You're a little bit skeptical, aren't you?
Yeah, I am actually. I
think to an extent everyone's skeptical, aren't they? Because we just don't know.
When you don't really have 100% trust in them, it's even more difficult, because when they make out that they do know, like, you know that they don't, because even the scientists are saying that they're unsure. So
it is hard, and I think obviously during the last week we've now become, I think, the highest deaths in Europe now, if I stand correct at that. I must admit I've not been watching too much of the news, but I'm sure I saw that the other day. And I think when we've all been being told constantly we're doing the right things at the right times and it's important not to go too early and everything like that, I think to then see that statistic of the let's rewind 6 weeks ago, and we were all looking at Italy and thinking, oh my God, we don't want to end up like them. And actually the situation here has ended up worse than there.
Yeah.
So when they're then coming out and saying, look, don't worry, we're putting all these things in place for a reason, it does make you quite skeptical, because you look and you think, well, 6 weeks ago you told us you were making the best decisions at the right times, but now we're worse than they were.
Yeah.
So it does make it hard to trust all the information that's coming to us. But I must admit, from my point of view, I've tried to just go with my gut feeling. I've tried to follow sort of the guidelines that are being given and follow how I feel. I've tried not to pay too much attention to it, because otherwise it does just engross you in.
Yeah, I think it's important just to always remember that you've got a choice in whatever actions you do choose to take. Like, no one's forcing anything on you. So when, if someone's inviting you round or to a party, you've got to remember that in the great scheme of things, another month or two is nothing to potentially, save someone's life that you're going to be feeling guilty about for the rest of your life. Essentially.
Yeah, no, 100%. I have just thought of something else I'm really looking forward to doing.
Oh, go on.
Having a haircut.
Oh, yeah.
Has Amber not given you a COVID cut?
Yeah, Amber has given me a bit of a haircut, but the success of it, I would say, is questionable.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I did cut my own hair last week with clippers, not gonna lie. Not like all of it off, like I trimmed it with clippers. Not good. It's not great, I'm gonna be honest.
It is difficult. I do have a newfound respect for all hairdressers.
They're going to be rolling in it after this.
They are going to be rolling in it after this, definitely. There's going to be queues outside.
Yeah.
Them queues that are at Asda and stuff at the minute, that's going to be the hairdressers when they reopen.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So starting this week as well, we're going to be doing our one tip of the week each. So we're going to each go through one tip that we've either done during the last week or we're going to do during the next week, whenever we're having a bit of a down day, just to try and pick us up. So I'll start. My tip of this week is to write yourself a letter. What I've done, I've wrote myself a letter of things that I'm hoping to achieve during the next year. So in my letter, I'm happy to share it with you guys today. I want to get more involved with sporting communities. I want to be going out into the community once we are allowed out, to be helping kids and continue to put smiles on faces. I want to go away with my girlfriend next time we get the opportunity to. I've never actually ventured out of Europe, so I would quite like to go to another continent during the next year, just to experience what kind of life is like in another continent, how they live, and just everything that comes along with it, really, the culture and all of that. My missus has actually been to Mexico and Sri Lanka, so she's kind of beat me to a few different places, but I'd quite like to go and experience the culture in another place. So I've wrote myself a little letter of just a few little goals and stuff like that that I want to achieve during the next year. And then what I'll do through the year, I can revisit it, I can have a look, I can tick stuff off, and it'll just give me that sort of sense of knowing that I am achieving what I aim to achieve. We have all got a lot of time on our hands at the minute, and we're all thinking a lot about where we want to be and what we want to do. So I've just decided I'm going to write it down, and you know what, I'm going to set myself a few goals, and then I'm going to see how many of them I can tick off during the next year. And it's not a case of that I'm going to look in a year's time and think, oh my God, I didn't manage to do it. If I haven't done it within the next year, I'll add a year on, and I'll say, well, do you know what? If I didn't get time to do it in the last year, I'm going to try during this year, and that's what I'm going to do. So that's my tip of this week. That's something that I've done, which definitely helped me. It helped me to kind of focus my brain on where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. So hopefully it can help some of you guys too.
Cool. I like that one, James. Yeah, that's good. Mim, have you done a similar thing to that?
Mine's more so sort of like within the next 5 years, I want to have like graduated, got into a full-time job. Do you know what I mean? So it's like within that 5 years, what do I want? Within 10 years, what do I want to have achieved? That sort of thing. So it's more of like a long-term plan.
Okay, fab. Have you wrote all of that down, or is it just something that you're keeping in your head, or?
Just something that I'm keeping in my head.
Okay.
So it's sort of like I've got a year left at uni. So within the next 5 years, I want to have graduated. I want to be in a full-time job. I want to have like got a house, like a mortgage, all those kinds of things really. And then I'd like to go back and do a master's.
Okay.
So that's my 5-year plan. And then after my master's, another 5-year plan. So I've got like a 10-year plan.
No.
I mean, some of it's probably not that achievable. Like there's things like, yeah, I want my dream house. Do you know what I mean? But
you got to have them, I guess, on there. Something to strive
yeah,
toward.
that's probably more 10-year plan than 5-year plan, if we're being honest. But I'm trying to push it into the 5-year.
I know.
It depends how big you want that dream house to be, I suppose, Viv.
Yeah, I want a pool.
we might have to push beyond 10 years here. I don't know.
Yeah, 20-year plan.
But no, I think that's great. I think it's definitely good to have that sort of thing to look forward to and think, well, do you know what? Actually, in that amount of time, that's where I want to have got to. And again, like you say, if you get to 5 years and you think, well, do you know what? I haven't quite managed to achieve that one. There's nothing wrong with going, well, do you know what? I'm going to add another couple of years onto that. And do you know what? I am going to achieve that. And actually, it might make you want to achieve it even more.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a nice distraction, isn't it? Gives you something to wake up for in the morning. If you're not feeling the day ahead of you, you can something to look back on and refer back to go, you know what, to reach that 5-year plan, I've got to get up and do what I've got to do today.
100%.
Yeah,
I think it's really good for me to have a long-term plan as well, because sometimes when I'm quite stressed, I'm really irrational. I'm like, yeah, that's it. I'm not finishing uni. It's not worth it. Like today's been really stressful. But you think actually referring back to that, like, what do I want? Where do I want to be in 5 years? And to be there, what do I need to do? So it brings you back to reality a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's good to weigh them goals up, but also I think sometimes you can get a bit enticed in reaching them or hitting them goals so much, you can quite easily forget about your mental health and being happy in them states as well. Because if you're not reaching them, or everything's going like not going so well, and you've had a bad week or month, and you think, or it gets to that 5 years and you haven't reached it, and you put so much effort in and time, dedication into trying to reach that, and you haven't. Always try and keep in mind that your happiness and well-being, it should always come first before them goals. If they come hand in hand, then that's great. Like if you're aiming to do something and the path is like makes you happy as well, that's like a double win. But sometimes, obviously, I mean, you're gonna have your down days, aren't you? But I think just sometimes what I found with goals is if I have not reached them, or if I'm having a few bad days, it can sometimes get me down. Whereas you've got to remember that, your happiness comes first.
I 100% agree with that, yeah.
Fab. Have we got any other tips, Mim? I think you had one more that you wanted to go through.
Yeah, so just touching really on money. I know that I've been guilty at the minute of ordering things that I probably don't really need. I know it's easy to do, but just being mindful of that and sort of not becoming in a position where once we're out of lockdown, we're struggling for money.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, and I have to say I've tried to be quite sensible with mine over the last sort of few weeks, with not knowing what was going to happen and sort of what it's going to look like when we come out of this. I decided to try and make sure that my savings get topped up each month as much as I can afford. But I have to say, during the last week, I have gone out and spent a little bit more because it's mine and my girlfriend's anniversary this week. So I've decided to go out and spend a little bit. Just to try and treat her, give her a few little bits to open up this week, because hopefully that'll put a smile on her face. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I think there's nothing wrong with treating yourself the same as we would normally, but it's just making sure, like you're saying, that you're mindful of the bigger picture, and that actually, if you can see that going forward there might be tough times ahead, maybe just think about how much you are spending. And like I say, everybody deserves a treat now and again, but just make sure you're mindful of what might be coming during the next few months. Great stuff. And then Ed, your one tip.
Yeah, so my one tip of the week would be try and learn something new. So whether that's cooking, learning an instrument, starting to, I don't know, maybe learn a new language, trying some different exercise that you've not tried before, something along that lines. It's sort of like a mini little project that you can get started on to kind of keep you busy in times where you're bored or getting lost in your thoughts and a bit down. Something that you can always kind of go to for 10, 15 minutes just to concentrate on. So yeah, that's my sort of tip.
Yeah, great stuff. I must admit, I've been watching quite a few quiz shows. So I thought, well, I'll try and improve my general knowledge during this time. I still don't get any right, so I'm not sure it's worked, if I'm honest. But it's fun to watch the quiz shows anyway. So
yeah, exactly. And then the odd time that someone asks you something, if you can, if you can answer it and surprise them, and it's good. And something that it's doing you no harm, if anything. So it's just something to do and keep you busy when you are struggling or a bit bored. I've tried to try some different exercises out that I wouldn't have tried otherwise. So yeah, my next thing on the list might be to learn how to cook something different. There we go. So I'll let you know.
Very good. Yeah, great. You can tell us next week. Great stuff. Thank you for that. Okay, so thank you for listening again, everybody. We hope you have another safe week, and hopefully by this time next week we may have a few more answers with regards to what's happening and when lockdown is potentially going to be lifted. We are still going to be online on Facebook Messenger and Instagram Messenger, so if you want to come on and have a chat with us, then that would be great. We're on there Monday to Friday, and the times are listed online. And yeah, other than that, have a great week, and we will speak to you again soon.
See you guys.
See you later, guys. Cheers.